Good day, everyone. I am Cadet Ramirez, and I'm here to talk about or discuss the history or stages of global media culture. So, first, what is media? Media are the communication or outlets or tools used to store and deliver information or data. In general, media refers to various means of communication. For example, newspaper, magazines, radio, television, internet, and many more. There are two types of media: the traditional media or old media and the new media. The traditional or old media consists of books, magazines, newspaper, billboards, etc. While the new media, the present time, means of mass communication using digital technologies such as internet. So history or stages of global media. We have the pre-industrial, industrial, electronic, and digital. So, in pre-industrial, is a processing language was one of the first thing they developed and enhanced. Thus, we could consider all traditions as the basic ancestors of information and communication flow. Not only language was essential, it also developed humans to more complex thoughts. Example of this are the cave paintings. It was an evidence that early human beings were able to communicate through writing symbols or drawing crude pictures. With the discovery of papyrus by ancient Egyptians and the other form of writing tools, this eventually led to the advent of paper. Industrial Age. When civilization started embracing more technological advances, like the printing press, the world was ushered into the industrial age. The harnessing of electricity for daily use was also characteristic of this age, as some of technological inventions developed with the various electricity related experimentations. This age clearly saw the active role of technology in advancing the way we communicate and disseminate information. Thus, human and machinery work hand in hand towards advancing the world into this new age. Due to mass producing printing press, newspapers were soon developed, allowing citizens access to the news and information that affected sectors of their lives. Image recording and the invention of photography also began during this era. Telegraph, telegraphs was also invented in this era. This allowed rapid transfer of messages via wires and cables as the sender encoded it and the receiver would decode the information in the end. Electronic age. The electronic age is characterized by the way humans consume information in a rapidly developing pace, leading us towards what they call the information society. Fax machines and cell phones was invented in this era, resulting in a faster way of transmitting messages, causing telegraph to eventually die. With the development was in with the development of broadcast industry, radio and television, reached in the mass media, took its full effect as it hanged the habits of various cultures, especially in the 1950s and 1960s. Digital age. Digital age refers to our current age or present, wherein information is still seen as a commodity, yet its mode of recording, storage, and delivery relies heavily on digital technology. The digital age saw the emergence of digital photography. With the advent of the digital single lens reflex camera, also known as DSLR.
Good day, everyone. I am Decadat Nasruelo from the University of Cebu. So for this video, I'm going to report or discuss to you what is the role of media in globalization. So before we start our report, so let me define what is media and what is globalization first. So ano kaya ang media? So media, the term media, which is a plural, like plural medium, refers to communication channel through which we disseminate news, music, movies, education, professional message, and other data. So it includes physical and online newspaper and magazine, television, radio, billboards, telephone or the internet fax, and etc. So it is described the various ways through which we communicate in society. So because it refers to all means of communication, everything ringing from a telephone, call, that evening news on television can be called media. So that is the media. So and what is the globalization? So globalization. So according to my research, which is in the Webster Dictionary, so the word globalization is used to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economics, culture, and population brought by the cross-border trade in goods services such as the technology and the flows of investment of people and information. So that's the called globalization. So let's go back to our topics or topic, which is what is the role of media in globalization. So ano ba ang role ng media sa globalization? So while in every language, globalization usually refers to economic and political integration in a world scale or international scale. Diba? International scale. It is also had a crucial cultural dimension in which media have a central role. So when we started the contemporary world, diba? When we started the contemporary world, we have defined globalization, hindi ba? We're mentioned about interconnectedness, interdependence of nation state and different countries to one another, diba? And usually among definition of globalization, it would focus on the economic side and the political integration, diba? Like about integration, international trade. Pero sa pagtanaw, diba, sa pagtanaw nato sa globalization ay meron din na mahalagang parte ang kultura, diba? Mahalagang parte ang kultura. Meron ding merong dimension na binabahagi ang kultura to which ang media ay napakahalagang bahagi o napakahalagang parte sa globalization or a central role in globalization, di ba? In that sense, media globalization is about how most national media systems have become more internationalized, becoming more often to outside influences, both under content, under ownership and control. So think of it sa media, di ba? When I say media at this point, tanaw na to ang atong bansa karon. Di ba? Katong bansa karon, katong mga kumpanya halimbawa, di ba, katong mga kumpanya halimbawa nagpo-produce ng iba't ibang media or balita, di ba? They have become more internationalized kasi hindi lang ang binabalita natin dito ay mga nangyayari sa ating bansa, kundi binabalita din nila nangyayari sa ating bansa, di ba? Hindi natin dito ang nangyayari sa ating bansa, kundi binabalita din nila kung ano ang nangyayari sa ating bansa through internationalized, di ba? Di ba, kung ano ang like for example, kung ano ang meron sa atin, meron din sa kanila. Parang ganun ba? 'Di ba? 'Di ba? Kasi meron din tayong mga news organization na originally sila ay mula sa, 'di ba, mula sa western country, na meron sila dito na local base and national base, 'di ba? Like Karen Davida, 'di ba? 'Di ba si Karen Davida nagbabalita siya sa 'di ba binabalita niya kung anong nangyari sa ating bansa. 'Di ba binabalita niya kung anong nangyari sa ating bansa. So gitranslate niya kung anong nangyari sa ating bansa through other country, 'di ba? 'Di ba? Parang ganun ba? Kay internationalized man. So kung ano ang meron sa kanila, meron din sa atin. Kung anong meron sa atin, meron din sa kanila. Parang ganun ba? Kasi parang ganun ba? 'Di ba? Like for example, movies like Netflix, 'di ba? Sa Netflix, 'di ba sila ang una 'di ba maraming daghang nindot dito nga movies sa gawas, 'di ba? So through media, 'di ba makatan-aw pud ta kung unsay ilan ni didto nga nindot sa lida kay through media, 'di ba? Kasi ibinabahagi nila doon kung anong meron sila, ibinabahagi nila dito sa atin, 'di ba? Parang ganun ba? 'Di ba? That's the role of media in globalization. Kung anong meron sa kanila, meron din sa atin. Kung anong meron sa atin, meron din sa kanila. Parang ganun ba? Pero majority, parang sila ang talaga ang meron kasi parang ano lang tayo, naghihintay lang tayo kung ano ang meron sa kanila kasi sila ang una kasi, parang ganun eh. 'Di ba?
Good day, sir. I'm Decadate Medilo Jibibab. Our question is, give the pros and cons of media globalization, or advantages and disadvantages of media globalization. So one is cheaper goods and services for consumers. Cheaper goods and services for consumers. Globalization and encourages both producers and consumers to benefit from trade based on division of labor, specialization in comparative advantage theory. Trade and globalization can lead to cheaper goods and services for consumers, which increase in terms of incomes, increase in profits in business. So trade and globalization, trade is buying and selling. Globalization is ang pag-grow sa isa ka economy. Example, kung makipag-trade kag goods in other country, mas makatipid ka. Kung ibaligya na nimo diri sa Philippines, mas mo increase imong profit or ginansya. Number 2 is more competition in consumer markets. Globalization can make domestic markets more contestable, and contestability reduce monopoly. So sa isa ka market, dili ra kay isa ang tig supply, dapat daghan jud. And contestability reduce monopoly. Monopoly is kanang naginusarang tig supply. Dili mo grow ang isa ka market or economy kung gamay ra supplier. The more nga daghan ang supplier, the more nga mo grow ang isa ka economy or market. 3. Reduction in extreme poverty rates. Globalization has been associated with contributed to significant fall in extreme poverty. So, makalis siya poverty. So dako gayud gamit ang globalization. Kung mo grow ang economy, dako ya matabang kay makales man siya sa kapobre sa isa ka economy. So number 4, gains from specialization of factors of production. Essentially, the idea that you build deeper division of labor and you build global supply chains to optimize factors of production worldwide in the things that you best at. So, ang atong idea nga maambag sa economy is maka-advantage jud kay specialize man nato ang ato gi-build nga labor or product. So, number 5, transfer ideas stimulates innovation. So, globalization has been brought a dynamic efficiency gains flowing from sharing the fusion transfer of ideas, skills, technologies that stimulates the process of innovation. So kung mag-grow ang usa ka economy or ang ato economy na pud tay mag-gain na mga ideas, knowledge, skills, and technology. Number 6 is gains from improved labor mobility. The gains also from the movement of labor between countries, nations, cross-border and labor migration, increasing the stock of labor in different countries and also making the labor force more diverse.
Disadvantages: trade imbalances. Seeing the world economy increasing imbalances in trade, some countries may benefit to this trade imbalance, but other countries are suffering persistent structural trade deficits. Like for example, let's talk about import and export. So, importing, bringing goods into a country from somewhere else, while exporting is sending goods out of a country to somewhere else. So, the import is the country imports more goods, services, and capital than its export. So the export is the country exports more than imports. Number 2, dominant TNC and less cultural diversity. Emergence of dominant global brands businesses which have significant burns. They could squeeze out of the local procedures and perhaps move in more standardized as much as global world branded products. So the TNC or the so-called multinational corporations are companies that cooperate in more than one country. So the disadvantage of this is that they could create products that are similar to our local brands, and it would cause a greater problems to our local procedures, and that profits are going to companies overseas rather than locals. Number 3, corporate tax avoidance. In a word, where corporations are finding any ways to avoid paying tax. For example, through shadow pricing, through manipulating their cash flows to countries where corporate taxes in particular are lower. So, in our world, ang corporation kun is nangita sila og pamaagi na dili makabayad sa buwis or tax. From the word avoidance, it means niiwas sila para dili makabayad sa buwis. So some examples here may include putting your money into an individual savings account like ISA to avoid paying income tax on the interest earned by your cash savings. So investing money into a pension scheme or claiming capital allowances on things used for business purposes. Number 4, external costs from unsustainable growth. So the challenges are threats to environment, extraction or raw materials, increased air pollution, trading toxic waste, the collapsing of diversity, the massive challenge of increased concentration of CO2 and NO2 emissions. These are huge issues of the age. So kaya hindi iaangat ang ating bansa dahil na rin sa pagiging pananakot at mapaghamong sa kapaligiran. Kagaya ng pagkuha ng mga supplies at kalakalan ng nakakalason na gas at iba pa. Like for example, manguha ta og mga raw materials sample sa tree. Pinagbabawal natin yan kasi we need trees, but they are cutting trees para gawing materials like lapis, papel, mga bedroom trees, iba pa. Number 5, growing relative poverty. Increase in relative poverty in many countries. Where extreme poverty has come down, relative poverty or equality has gone up in many countries. So, for example, yung nakita ko na karamihan na mga ganitong mga bagay is dito sa Pilipinas, part sa Manila, sa Tondo. I've seen a video a lot na mga ganitong bahay na sobrang nahirapan, tapos yung mga bahay is hindi ka ganon katibay. So ayun, there's a lot of poor childrens na yung minsan hindi na nakakakain, hindi na nakapag-aral, at ayun, they experience kumain ng pagpag sa mga like yung mga sobra na pagkain dahil sa kahirapan. And we're hoping na sana kumpay din na maayos ang lahat para everything is equal, para wala nang maka-experience sa hirap na ganitong bagay sa Pilipinas. Number 6, brain drain effects. Disadvantages for some countries who lose population, so they mainly suffer depopulation effects, the loss of younger, often skilled workers looking for better work, better pay in other countries. So, ang kaning brain drain is a process in which ang usa ka tawo which is educated and considered as a skilled worker is mangita og lain country nga mas ni-offer og better opportunity and a better quality of life kaysa ilang own country. Disadvantages ana is ang usa ana kay suffer depopulation. So tungod kay mamalhin man ang mga citizens ana nga country sa lain nga country, mao nang makasuffer sila og depopulation, and it has a huge effect sa kanang suffering country. Like economy will shrink, like di na mo develop ang country kay there are more unemployment. Population will have fewer young people supporting the economy na. So ang kanang second loss is mao lagi na ang mga maayo na mga tao nga nasa atong country is mamalhin na lang kay lagi bati og hatag ang ato ang country. For example, kita mga Pinoy, manggato na natas gawas kay bati ang pamaagi sa Pilipinas, and we are holding to the statement na mas dako og sweldo sa gawas.
Good day, sir. I'm Cadet John Mark Sipi. Today, I will discuss my topic about is there globalization without media. Globalization refers to growing interdependence of the world economies. Culture's population brought about by cross-border trade in goods and services. Technology and flows of investments, people and information. Without media, globalization is not possible. The media have an important impact on globalization in two mutually interdependent ways. First, the media provide an extensive transnational and transmission of culture products, and secondly, they contribute to the formation of communicative networks and social structures. The mass media are today seen as playing a key role in enhancing globalization and facilitating culture exchange and multiple flows of information and images between countries through international news broadcast television. Programming new technology, film, music, and globalization, media rely on each other. The global spread of media is facilitated by technology, resulting in cultural exchange and interconnectivity of nations. In return, the spread of information and knowledge leads to technological advancement and greater communication, further accelerating globalization. When studying globalization and media, we have to look at how the global and local interact with each other. And that's all my topic. Thank you.
Is there globalization without media? No, because the media have an important impact on cultural globalization in two mutually interdependent ways. Firstly, the media provides an extensive transnational transmission on cultural products. And secondly, they contribute to the formation of communicative networks and social structures. The media are today seen as playing a key role in enhancing globalization and facilitating cultural exchange and multiple flows of information and images between countries. Through international news, broadcast, television programming, new technologies, film, and music. The main phenomenon behind the globalization of media is to unify widely different cultures and integrate them into one world. Geographical closeness and or cultural relations help media a lot between two different countries situated thousands of miles away from each other. But media brought them closer by providing platform to exchange feelings and culture. Cable and satellite TV were known by most Americans, Canadians, and some European countries in early ages, and is now spreading in most other countries. In most other countries of the world, media is involved in certain really important events and affect their outcome, like media markets, audiences, advertisements, financial market, education, and many creative industries.
Is media globalization a form of cultural imperialism? Yes, the media is tied with the cultural concept which originated from financial dealings of dependency. Cultural imperialism manifests itself mainly through media, especially mainstream and mass media. Media is one of the most prominent and visible forms of global communications. All people are part of the culture. We live in the culture, and culture lives with us. This is the most important part of our society. The Philippines is known as archipelago, almost 7,000 islands, and when rich in terms of culture. Sinakop tayo na lang siglo ng pananakop ng Espanya, Amerikano, at mga Hapon. This is why now we have different culture. Old Filipinos, very rich and have a very successful culture. But even though the Philippines is now free, the culture of other countries influences our country because of the continuous globalization. We live in a diverse society, wherein Filipino ancestors are influenced by colonialism. But still, Filipino choose to be influenced media globalization, support and patronize culture from different countries. Filipino culture now the same ways to the other culture. So now as the technology develops, technology made it possible to make a worldwide movement toward economy, financial trade, and communication integration, which is called globalization. The globalization paradigm started with a good purpose. It was to unify the world and to share and understand each other cultures. However, it turns out globalization paradigm had its flaws and that these flaws are described as cultural imperialism. During 20th century, cultural imperialism was no longer so closely linked with the military intervention, but rather with the exertion of economic and political influence by some powerful countries over less powerful countries. So, one of the best example of media globalization as form of imperialism is that how media influence other powerful countries or rich countries to less countries to use their products by using social media and other forms of medias. Let's say, for example, the beauty products, it merged our thinking to use these products because nowadays the standard of beauty is being white because that's how other culture influence our culture. So American movie studios are generally much more successful than us and also the foreign counterparts, not only because of their business models but also because the concept of Hollywood has become one of the modern worldwide movie businesses defining traits. The Americanization of other cultures is said to occur when the mass exportation of American films, music, clothing, and food into other countries threatens to replace local products and to alter or extinguish features of the traditional way of life. According to Gray, using Bolton's definition, he says that cultural imperialism is the process of social influence by which a nation imposes on other countries its beliefs, values, knowledge, and behavioral norms as well as its overall style of life. Cultural imperialism hasn't died out, and that American products were killing other cultures. For example, in making about fast food restaurant, that is to one line. It is McDonald's. This idea is sadly implies on media content. What makes us dangerous that certain ideas that aired in American media is overcoming other countries. So for McDonald's is one of the most of leading food service retailers, and it is located in more than 100 countries with more than 36 restaurants, restaurants, and the restaurant everywhere in the world. So all medias like television, radio, newspaper, magazines, social media, digital medias, internet, these are the technology wherein increasingly media has always driven globalization. Cultural and ideological bias are not only a risk of media globalization in addition to the risk of cultural imperialism and the loss of local culture. That's why other problems come with the benefits of a more interconnected globe. So that is all.
Good day to you, sir. I'm here to discuss about the globalization theories of Group 3 presentation. Question number 6. Is media globalization a form of cultural imperialism? So let's talk first about globalization. So, what is globalization? Globalization refers to increasing global connectivity, integration, and interdependence in the economic, social, technological, cultural, political, and ecological spheres. Globalization is an umbrella term and is perhaps best understood as a unitary process inclusive of many sub-processes, such as enhanced economic interdependence, increased cultural influence, rapid advances of information technology, and novel governance and geopolitical challenges that are increasingly binding people and the biosphere more tightly into one global system. Globalization is a phenomenon of transforming the world into a unit, which manifests worldwide by specific means. Thus, globalization seeks feedback between different civilizations and cultures to promote a new international order, which in turn ensures stability, sustainable development, security, and peace. Globalization is a phenomenon historically manifested in different places in different forms, depending on the condition and possibilities that era was held. So let's talk about is media globalization a form of cultural imperialism? And yes, the media globalization is a form of cultural imperialism. During the modern days, the ability in advertising global culture production is on the rise as the pandemic hits, which gains tons of viewers and customers, most specifically countries such as America for their fashion trends and foods, Korea for their dramas and beauty, and Japan for their advanced technology and anime are the ones we can say a favorite culture imperialism. Among other diversity, media globalization has been made possible by the ongoing changes and developments in information and communications technology. However, it has greatly impacted other cultures that are economically disadvantaged, non-dominant country, and in political influence, an influence of another country's way of living, therefore losing one's individuality and an erosion of local production and culture. In personal development, it also caused great impacts as we are starting to trust our own opinions, less and instead of working out what we believe to be right. We are turning to the media. We no longer think of such social media as foreign produce, which is why it is difficult to think that media, globalization, and cultural imperialism as separate factors. So, my explanation of my report is globalization where people connect through our new way of communicate. Like the internet that we can connect with people worldwide like our loved ones that creates like a global village. So global village describes the phenomenon of the entire world becoming more interconnected as the result of the propagation or development of media technologies throughout the world such as Facebook, Google, Instagram, Twitter, and the other social media platforms that we use today of our century. That's all. Thank you.